Hey guys, this is Abhishek from gadgetools.com, and today we are going to do a hands-on comparison of the Gionee Elife E5 device with Micromax Canvas 4. Both of these devices are fairly close to each other when it comes to the price difference. They come from these respective brands. This one comes from Gionee, whereas this one comes from Micromax, which is an Indian company, whereas the Gionee is a Chinese manufacturer, but they are actually making their own phones and selling them, whereas Micromax on the other hand is actually hiring other Chinese OEM over there in China and getting these phones manufactured. So we are going to compare both of these phones in terms of the overall build quality, the form factor, the performance specifications and other things. Now starting the comparison in between these two phones, first thing I would like to compare both of these phones in terms of the overall build quality. Now if we take a look, the build quality department is actually good on both of these phones to some extent. When we talk about the Gionee Elife E5, this one is a unibody phone in which the battery cannot be removed, and again the phone does feel solid when you hold it in one hand. And in terms of the overall design, it is quite nicely designed, quite slim phone as well in terms of the overall thickness. The back cover is again matte finish and it cannot be removed, and the overall phone in terms of the form factor looks fairly good. You can easily hold the device in one hand. It does feel solid as well as good build when you hold it. When it comes to the Canvas 4, Canvas 4 has actually got a better upgrade as far as the build quality is concerned, especially after the Canvas HT. And this phone on the other hand has a pretty good build quality as well, with aluminum casing around the edge, which again gives the device kind of a premium look, and also it makes the device quite solid as well in terms of the overall build quality. But one thing which we have noticed is that the back cover on the Canvas 4 is glossy in nature. Again, it will get the fingerprints and scratches quite easily, and the back cover can be removed on this device, whereas we cannot remove the back cover on this device. However, that does not affect the overall build quality, but in terms of the build quality, I would say the Gionee Elife E5 is slightly better as compared to the Canvas 4. Even when the Canvas 4 has the aluminum cases on the edges, this one actually feels much more solid as compared to the Canvas 4, because if you drop the Canvas 4, the back cover will definitely come out even with a single drop, whereas nothing will happen to this phone, and we have actually dropped this phone multiple times and it was running successfully fine without any issues after. Now talking about the overall design, this is a unibody phone, whereas this is a simple phone in which the back cover can be removed. And another thing which we would like to point out is that the Micromax Canvas 4 is a dual SIM phone, whereas the Gionee Elife E5 is a single SIM phone, and the battery can be removed on this device, whereas the battery cannot be removed. When we talk about the camera, we have 13 megapixel camera autofocus on the Canvas 4, whereas we have 8 megapixel camera with autofocus on Gionee Elife E5. Both of these cameras are capable of recording high definition video. However, the high definition video which you can record on this device as far as 1080p video is concerned, it is not 30 frames per second, it is actually less than that. When it comes to the 13 megapixel camera which we have on the Canvas 4, it can actually record high definition video at 720p as well as at 1080p, both at 30 frames per second, whereas the 720p video can be recorded on this device with 30 frames per second, whereas the 1080p video which you will record from the back camera on the Gionee Elife E5 will not be 30 frames per second, it will be less than that. You do have LED flash on both of these phones. You also have the secondary mic on both of these phones. If we talk about the top, you have the 3.5mm audio jack on both of these phones. On this side we have the volume rocker, and here we have a metallic button, and on this phone as well we have a metallic button. We have the power and sleep key which is actually on the side, which is quite easy to access, whereas the power and sleep key is placed on this side on the right on the top, which is again quite easy to access whenever you hold the device in one hand on the Canvas 4 as well. On the top you have at the bottom basically you have the micro USB port for data syncing and charging on the Canvas 4, whereas we see nothing on this device. There is a primary mic over here, whereas this device also have a primary mic which is actually at the edge of the display, as you can see. And if we take a look over here, we have the micro USB port for data syncing and charging. We have the power and sleep key over here on this device, whereas it is actually on the other side on the Gionee Elife E5. And here we have the slot for the SIM card, and this device will accept a micro SIM. Now when it comes to the memory, both of these devices come with 16 GB of internal memory. However, you can expand the storage on this device because the back cover can be removed on the Canvas 4. So once you remove the back cover, you will be able to access the slots for the SIM card. So it will accept 2 SIM card, normal size SIM card, and then we have the micro SD memory card slot to expand the storage of the device, whereas we do not have a micro SD memory card slot on this device to expand the storage. When it comes to the battery, we have 2000 mAh battery on the Canvas 4, and we have the 2000 non-removable battery on the Gionee Elife E5. Now when we take a look over these devices from the front profile, we have the nice metallic earpiece over here on the Canvas 4, whereas we have the similar earpiece on the Gionee Elife E5. We have the front camera over here. We do have proximity and ambient light sensor on this device. However, you may not be able to see them as of now from this angle. And we have the proximity and ambient light sensors on the Canvas 4 as well. When we talk about the bottom part of the front display, we have the touch capacitor buttons which are there on the body of the phone on both of these phones. They are not within the display. And again, when we talk about the display as well, we have a 720p display on both of these phones, and the overall performance of these two devices in terms of the overall gaming and application day-to-day usage, it is almost the same. We have almost the same kind of performance which you will notice on both of these phones, because they have the similar hardware as well, almost the same hardware actually, because this one has a MediaTek 6589 processor which is clocked at 1.2 GHz, whereas this one has MediaTek 6589 chipset, the turbo chipset, which is clocked at 1.5 GHz. That is the major difference. And again, the GPU is same on both of these phones, that is PowerVR SJ544MP, whereas it is running at high frequency on this device, whereas the Canvas 4, the same GPU is running at lower frequency. Another difference in between these two devices is that the weight. The weight of the Canvas 4 is around 158 gram, whereas this device is around 138 gram in terms of the overall weight. So the Gionee Elife E5 is slightly lighter in terms of the weight as compared to the Canvas 4. Another difference in between these two devices is the display size. We have a 5-inch display on the Canvas 4, whereas we have 4.8 or 4.7 inch display approximately on the Gionee Elife E5. And again, the display resolution is same on both of these phones. When we talk about the display, we have IPS LCD display on this device, and we have Super AMOLED display on this device. So again, this display is slightly better in terms of the overall colors. So the reproduction of the colors are actually better on this display, whereas this display has pretty good colors as well, not as good as this device has, but this one has slightly good viewing angles as well. As you can see, you can view the screen from extreme viewing angles, whereas on this device as well, viewing angles are quite wide, and you will not notice the blackening of the display whenever you view it from extreme viewing angles. You might notice it from the vertical viewing angles whenever you see the display, but still it is pretty good. As far as the pixels are concerned, you get a pixel density of 294 pixels per inch on the Canvas 4, whereas you have a slightly higher pixel density of 316 pixels per inch on the Gionee Elife E5, and this is because this device has a lesser display size but has the same resolution which we have on the Canvas 4. But in real life, both of these displays are pretty good in terms of the overall clarity. As you can see, if you take a closer look over the display on the Canvas 4, you won't notice any pixelation of the text, whereas the same will happen for the Gionee Elife E5. If you take a closer look, you won't notice any pixelation on the text. So with naked eyes, both of these displays are equally good. When we talk about the phone dialer, there is a difference because we get a video call option directly on the phone dialer on the Canvas 4, whereas we do not get a video call option over here on the Gionee Elife E5. However, both of these phones support GSM video voice calling as well. One similarity which we see on both of these phones is that both of them has 5 megapixel front camera, which is a fixed focus camera. And when we take a look over the video feed which will broadcast from the front camera, this is how the video feed will look at. So again, you can make a high definition video call from the front camera on the Gionee Elife E5, and this is how it is going to be the video clarity. When it comes to the Canvas 4, this is how the overall clarity will be, and both of them has 5 megapixel front camera, and the quality of video broadcast from both of these devices is equally good, as you can see. As far as UI is concerned, we have a custom UI on the Gionee Elife E5 which is running on top of Android, whereas on this device we see some customization in terms of the icons look and feel, whereas the UI is almost the stock Android on this device. There are some new applications which have been added on this device, and same goes for this device as well, which are from respective manufacturers. So if we take a look over the version of Android which is running on these two devices, both of them are running on 4.2.1 once we get these devices out of the box, as you can see. Now on the storage front, both of these devices come with 16 GB of internal memory, and if we take a look over on this device, we have 10.02 GB available to the user in the internal SD card, and you also have 1.90 GB available for applications. So it is approximately around 12 GB which you get free on this device as far as the storage is concerned for the user. And when it comes to the Gionee Elife E5, we have 10.56 GB available for the user, and you have around 1.66 GB available for applications. So again on this device you get slightly 1 GB higher as compared to the Canvas 4 as far as the free storage which is available to the user for installing applications and storing picture, videos and other data. Now when it comes to the RAM, you have 1 GB of RAM on both of these phones, and out of 1 GB of RAM you have around 386 MB of RAM which is used as of now, and you have around 585 MB of RAM which is free on this device. Fairly good, and again the device is responsive and fast enough to use. On this device on the other hand, you have around 407 MB of RAM used, and you get around 562 MB of RAM free. So in terms of the free RAM which is available to the user in idle scenario, both of these phones are fairly close to each other, and both of these phones are equally good in terms of the UI. They are quite fast. I do not see lag on any of these two devices when it comes to going across home screen or launching applications. Even if they are running different applications in the background, both of these phones are equally fast in terms of the overall performance. But when it comes to the gaming performance, this device is definitely better as compared to this one, because we have played the same games on both of these phones, and this device has showed better gaming performance as compared to this one. Now one thing which we would like to tell you is that when it comes to the thickness of these two devices, the Gionee Elife E5 is definitely thinner as compared to the Micromax Canvas 4, which is slightly higher in terms of the overall width, whereas this device is thinner as well and lighter as well in terms of the overall weight. And again in terms of the overall form factor, when you hold this device in one hand, it will feel quite solid, and it will feel quite good to hold this kind of a device in hand, whereas on this device you feel the plastic which is there at the back, which is not so good in terms of the overall feel when you hold the device in one hand. Although this device is also pretty good in the build quality, and because of the aluminum casing which is around the edge, the device is pretty good to survive the falls. Now here we have the system information for both of these phones. The model number is A210, whereas this one is E5. We have ARM V7 processor on both of these phones. This one is clocked at 1.2 GHz, whereas this one is clocked at 1.5 GHz. Both of them are quad-core processor. It is MediaTek 6589, whereas this is MediaTek 6589 turbo chipset. If we take a look over the display resolution is 720 into 1280 on both of these phones. You have the same PowerVR SGX 544 MP as the GPU, whereas this one is running at higher frequency. And when we talk about the sensors, we have 3-axis accelerometer sensor, proximity sensor and light sensor, that is the ambient light sensor on this device, whereas this device has slightly higher number of sensors, including 3-axis accelerometer sensor, proximity sensor, light, gyro, orientation. This one has a magnetic field sensor as well, which will again help you to do the proper navigation or precise navigation. You have rotation vector sensor, gravity sensor and linear acceleration sensor as well on the Gionee Elife E5. So this one has larger number of sensors as compared to the Canvas 4. Now when we compare both of the devices on the basis of graphics, we have the Ninamark score. Now for both of these phones, we have got a score of 56.1 FPS on the Ninamark 2 on the Gionee Elife E5, whereas we have got a score of 46.2 FPS. And again, this score can easily indicate that we have a better gaming experience. And again, we have played the same games on both of these phones, and we have found this device performing better on the gaming front. We have not noticed any UI glitch on this device while running heavy games like Asphalt 7, Frontline Commando D-Day and Modern Combat 4 as well, whereas on this device we have noticed certain UI glitches, the graphic glitches while playing those games on this device as compared to this one. And again, after looking at the Antutu score on these two devices, we can easily notice the difference in between a quad-core device and a 1.5 GHz quad-core device and a 1.2 GHz quad-core device. As you can see, we have got a score of 15968 on the Genie Elife E5, which is higher and much higher than the score which we have got on the Antutu benchmark for the Canvas 4, which is 13714. So that's all from us as far as the quick hands-on comparison of both of these phones. And again, if you want to know our conclusion, we would like to say certain things about both of these phones. If you want a dual SIM phone, you can always go for the Canvas 4. When it comes to the build quality is equally good on both of these phones, whereas this one has a slightly better build quality and this one feels quite solid in hand when you hold it, and it can also survive drops more than the Canvas 4. And again, when it comes to the build quality, we see clumsy plastic on the back cover of the Canvas 4, whereas we have a matte finish backside on the Genie Elife E5. This device is slightly thinner as well as compared to the Canvas 4. This one is also light in terms of the weight as compared to Canvas 4. When it comes to the camera, we have a better camera on the Canvas 4. If you are looking for a best camera device, you can always go for the Canvas 4 if you're comparing it with this one, whereas this one has a 8 megapixel camera and this one can also only record video at 720p with 30 frames per second, whereas this one can record the 720p video as well as the 1080p video both at 30 frames per second. And when it comes to the loudspeaker is fairly loud on the Micromax Canvas 4 as compared to the Genie Elife E5. That is something which we have noticed. You do have LED flash on both of these phones. Now if you talk about the overall performance, the performance is actually equally good on both of these phones as far as application performance is concerned or day-to-day usage is concerned. But if gaming is something which you like the most, then this device is going to perform better on the gaming front as compared to this one, and this is something which we have noticed. So that's all from us as far as the quick hands-on review and comparison of both of these phones. We have highlighted almost all the points. If we have missed anything, please let us know. You can like this video if this video helped you by clicking the like button below. You can subscribe to our YouTube video channel for more videos like this by clicking the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching this video. This is Abhishek signing off. Thank you.